Marsha Dunn, Marsha Dunn.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Gordon.
Marcia, tell us why you selected Morehead State.
Well, actually, I thought about, I'm from Richmond, Kentucky. I thought about Eastern. That was a little bit too close to home. Um, I liked Morehead because it was real scenic, a real scenic area. And they gave me financial aid first.
That's
But
wonderful.
the, the atmosphere was beautiful, and I enjoyed my trip down here, and thought it would be a good place to go.
Tell us about your experience at Morehead State. A few things in particular. We talked a little bit about being on the residence hall on the council in Waterfield, and the Omega Pearl, you mentioned that.
Yes, yes. Um, I was on the um, council with the dorm, which was a good experience. I've had nothing but positive experiences at Morehead. I met some of my best friends at Morehead, and we remain friends today. Uh, Morehead, at the time when I went in the 70s, it was just a comfortable place. People were easy to talk to. Academics were great, and I just enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the school. I was a little sister to a fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, and just the friendship and fellowship was just unbelievable.
Is that what the Omega Pearl was?
Yeah, we're little sisters
Little sisters.
to a fraternity. Yes,
What'd you study?
social work. I had an area of concentration in social welfare.
Is that your profession now?
Actually, I'm retired. I worked in city government as a community development director for the city of Richmond for over 28 years. And before that, I worked in Cynthiana, Kentucky as a project manager for a discretionary grant funded through the Department of Local Government and through HUD.
Did you think that did your degree and your time here, did it prepare you for the world of work?
Yes, it did. Um, when I first got out of school, I thought about going into the social work field, social work caseworker, something similar to that. And I talked to a friend of mine that worked in city government, and said he told me that there was a position coming available for relocation officer, which was a lot of dealing with people, referrals to social services, referrals for food stamps. So it all kind of intertwined, and it worked out great. So I just mixed a little politics with social services.
In terms of student activities and things that you did, was it separated by race at all, or were the black students and the white students together, or not?
Well, basically, some activities were separated, but the majority wasn't. Um, when I came to Morehead, I guess I had more white friends than I had black friends because I didn't know anybody. So it's just one of those things. The dorm, I just had a lot of white friends. And eventually I mingled and met a few black people, and then got more and more. And it was a combination. We didn't have a real difference.
You mentioned that Roots had an impact when the miniseries came out.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that had a real impact on everybody, I believe. It wasn't just one race. I think it was both. Realization of what happened back in those times, and the reality of today's society, and how some things are covered up by racism. So Roots had a big effect. It was things that I didn't realize that had happened previous, years ago, that kind of brought it to my awareness and everybody else's awareness, And sometimes it made you angry, and then sometimes it made you sad.
Did people watch it? You know, because I remember when I was
Oh,
in
yeah.
college, you know, that we get into around the TV and
Yes.
big groups watching it.
Yes. Now, we lived in Nunn Hall at the time, and there was only one TV in the lobby. And you, of course, in your rooms, you got no perception. I had a TV, but it didn't work. So we would reserve the TV for Roots or any other special that came on. And at times it would be a little hectic because you would find people have reserved the TV for Roots, and it might have been some sporting event that a boyfriend wanted to watch, and they would just take the sign down. And then that caused problems. But that didn't happen a lot, just a few times. And I think the dorm director at the time just kind of straightened that problem out.
Tell us about the Black Gospel Ensemble experience.
Oh gosh, it was an excellent experience. I've met some of my best friends through the Black Gospel Ensemble, and like I said, we remain friends. The friendship, the fellowship, the just the bonding. It was just the inspiration. It's just all positive. Everything was positive.
When I've seen the Black Gospel Ensemble perform here in recent years, and they've been in our church a couple of different times,
Hmm.
I have been amazed at the talent, the enthusiasm, but really the spirituality that comes through there,
Yes.
the praise. It's an incredible kind of experience.
Yes, it is. I hadn't seen the Black Gospel Ensemble perform. I guess it had been years, and one of the girls that attended a church out in the county where I live, I went to hear them perform, and I was amazed. I said, this is just wonderful. And I told Rita that I would love to see them perform again. And when this opportunity came about, and I'd love to have them at our church. I have called on the phone while they were performing. I called my cousin who sings with the choir at my church, and a couple of other friends to let them listen to the choir. I said, they are just amazing. And the diversity is absolutely wonderful. Beautiful people. I really enjoyed it.
Do you think it's different for a young black woman now coming to a place like Morehead State than it was for your generation of poets?
Well, I don't know. Not now. No, I don't think it's a lot of difference. In the 70s, things were open, and there were more opportunity in the 70s, and it's getting better. Hopefully, it's going to get better now.
Can you tell us about any particular trip or one real memorable experience from your? 'Cause I know
Well, we went to New Jersey and performed, and we had a wonderful time in New Jersey. Atlanta was one of the most inspirational places that we went because there was choirs from all over, and just to listen to the different voices, all the fellowship and all the friendships we made at that time, it was phenomenal. It was just phenomenal. It was just wonderful. We just had a lovely time, and it was unexplainable. I mean, it was such a great experience.
What's it like now, coming back after these years?
Well, it's different. um, but I'm enjoying it. I hope to enjoy it more tomorrow. And I hadn't been to Morehead for maybe about 5 years. I just put it off because there was not a lot of activity. We didn't get a lot of input on different activities that might be going on. But this outreach is great. And I think it's a positive thing. And I think you'll see a lot more alumni coming back.
Is there anything that we didn't think to ask you that you thought about that you want to share?
Well, no. Only thing I can say is that Morehead was a great experience, and one that I won't forget. I tried to get my son to come to Morehead, but he wanted to go to Eastern, And I have a daughter, she's 14, and I'm trying to get her to come to Morehead. She's thinking about it. But I've encouraged a lot of younger people to attend Morehead. I think they'll really enjoy the experience.
Jewel, Jewell, Douglas, Douglas, Howard, Howard.
And what class do you belong to? When did you graduate?
1978.
1978. We didn't ask.
We've got
It's
it.
done.
We've got it
Okay,
on
good.
other- yeah.
It's on the form.
Okay. Give me just one moment. All right. I am ready when you all are.
Jewel, tell us a little bit about your background and why you selected Morehead State.
Well, I attended an all-black high school, Central High School in Louisville, Kentucky, and we were actually the last black class of the all-black school because the following year, forced integration came, and they really integrated Central. So it was actually the last time that we were there, but it was still the same because we had teachers of all different races. So to me, it wasn't that it was an all-black school. It was just the school that I chose to go to, my high school. I had a scholarship to go to Spelman University in Atlanta, Georgia. And 42 days before school was to start, my mom and my dad said, I don't want you to go that far. You may get sick, because I had real bad allergies. And I was like, well, they already had my room, and I've picked my classes, and I've already been accepted, because I had a scholarship. And so my mother said, well, you can find a school in Kentucky. I don't know why you don't want to go to Kentucky State, because my grandmother and my mom went to Kentucky State. I said, I don't want to go there. All my friends are there, so I want to go somewhere different. So she said, well, look at this book of colleges and pick out a school in there, and we'll go up there and see. And so I closed my eyes and put my finger in the book, and that's how I chose Morehead State University.
It must have been very different coming from Louisville to Morehead in those days.
Well, every summer, of my life, I spent in Springfield, Kentucky with my grandparents. So it's a very small town, very diverse neighborhood. So to me, it was just like going to Springfield again. And I never forget the long drive. And my dad, my mother didn't want to go to take me to school to see how the school was. And we drove and we drove and we drove and we drove, and because that little cutoff, like everything says Ashland, you never see the sign Morehead till about 42 miles before you get there. And then it's like, oh, okay, here's the sign. So we come to school and do everything, like the orientation and everything. So my father, got to talk to Adrian Dorn, the president, and everything. And he was hook, line, and sinker. This is a school for Mildred, and and that's how I came to Morehead. So when I came to school, I could not leave the dorm after 9 o'clock. My parents, they were just like, because I was so tiny at the time. And so after that, I didn't come back, I had my mother finally said, okay, she can, go off campus, because I had friends with Marcia and several other girls that we were all friends. And so as long as I didn't go by myself, I could, go off campus. But when I came here, the campus was so beautiful. And the people were so friendly. So it wasn't that it was a difference for me, because I didn't see people as far as looking at people as far as race. I was just looking at people that were going to school with me. And so most of the classes, when we were going to school back in the 70s, we maybe have one, maybe two. You were the only African American in that particular class. So, it was just like a norm. I didn't feel any different. But I loved it.
What did you study?
Social work, just like Marcia. And I'm a social worker now.
Are you?
Yeah, every time I try to go away from it, I keep coming back. Mm-hmm.
How did you decide to do the Black Gospel Ensemble?
Well, I've always been in music. In my family, everyone played an instrument, and as well as a horn instrument, as well as the piano. So I was always into music. So when I came to Morehead, and I was in the gospel choir at my church, and at my high school. And when I first came, I was actually singing with the Morehead State University choir. And from there, they were taking auditions for the Black Gospel Ensemble. And I was like, yeah. So I had to ask could I sing in both. And I actually sung in both.
Do you have a particular trip or memory that's...
Atlanta. Because I had never been that far without my parents. And it was just like, I'm free. We were very much supervised. So, but it was choirs from all over the United States as well as abroad. And colleges all together on one accord. And I tell you what had happened, what sticks with me even today, the first night of the concerts of the, like I guess the orientation into the National Black Gospel Ensemble Conference. That's exactly what it was. And we went to Ebenezer Baptist Church, which was Martin Luther King's church, which his dad was still pastor. And a month prior to our getting there, his mother was killed in the church, if you can remember back then. And Daddy King came to the podium and he said, I have a story to tell. I mean, it wasn't a dry eye in the place. And everybody was just, white, black, all different races of people. We were just there. And we felt the spirit, in that uplifting, the name of Jesus. I mean, it was beautiful. And I have never forgotten that. And I think I never will, because that was just beautiful. We went to this big hall the next night for the actual conference and the choir singing and whatever. But that night, and I had met Martin Luther King when I was 6 years old. But to meet his father and be actually in Ebenezer Baptist Church, it was just, amazing.
Where'd you meet King at in Louisville?
In Louisville, Kentucky, and myself, my grandmother, and my mom marched with him down Market Street for equal housing.
Did you know the Bradens at all?
Yes, I did. I went to her funeral. Miss Ann, she is a sweet person. She was what she is. She's an angel, I imagine, up in heaven, but yes.
Can you talk about race relations here?
I guess, when I came, it was in 1974. And it was at the height of, when, what's his name? Jimmy Carter was running for president. And equal opportunity was at its highest. You could get a job anywhere. You could buy a home, go to school. We'll help you pay for it. At that time, I was on an academic scholarship. So, when I walked in, and I was like, so a lot of people were saying, well, she's from that school in Louisville. Like,